Hello, everyone. We just finished our 2-day immersion into what's to come for 2023 in the climate space. Paul lost his voice. There was incredible content. There was a lot missed if you didn't. So make sure to look back at those recordings if you did miss anything, but it was incredible 2 days. Paul, I know that you had hour after hour back to back. Could you just tell me a little bit of your takeaways for the whole event and then give me your top 3 favorite ones?
McKenna, I would like to, but I've officially run out of the words I've been allocated to speak in 2022, so I can't. Okay, top 3 things. One is that everything you knew about the Inflation Reduction Act, multiply it by 100. So we had Betty Zhang on from Credit Suisse, who wrote the definitive report on the Inflation Reduction Act. Betty, I think, is an absolute rock star, and I think she's missing the mark by so far in terms of the implications of this. Betty's report was viewed as incredibly bullish, and I just don't think it's bullish enough. I think that it's every investment. Well, put it this way, McKenna, and we certainly don't have long enough to talk about this. When I finished the event last night, and all I could sit there and think about was, what ways do we make money in like vertical farming and biofuels and battery recycling and all this sort of stuff? Because the tax credits that the US government are throwing around are they're just enormous, and they're open-ended. And I was cracking jokes by the end of the event saying that I don't want to hear another joke about French socialism or Chinese communist. But this is the greatest social spending program outside of a financial emergency the world's ever witnessed. Outside of China, the world has ever witnessed. And China took 800 million people out of poverty in 40 years doing this. This is remarkable. So second thing is that this is going to obviously this will fast track so many things. Secondly is that it's wrong to think that the European response is to how to stop the Americans from doing this. It's the wrong way to think about it. Europeans are going to do the same thing. They're going to go back, and so French President Macron was in Washington last week having multiple state dinners with Joe Biden, and he's going to go back to the head of the EU President von der Leyen, and to German Chancellor Schulz, and say we need to do the same thing. So what you're having is you've got this massive US infrastructure spending program, unprecedented. I think you're going to get the same out of Europe, which effectively is going to be the Marshall Plan for climate. And it's just the enormity of this spending program is just not appreciated. I met with someone tonight who who's been a commodity leading global hedge fund manager in the commodity space for 20 years. Didn't appreciate the enormity of this. It's absolutely huge. And thirdly is I think that there is I think there's just an ongoing passion about this. I mean, it's a little cliche that people care about climate, right? We know people care, but this is a global investor base with trillions of dollars to invest who previously didn't get this, right? Just didn't understand this, and they are waking up to the opportunity that is this. And if you can combine passion and pragmatism, and caring and currency, let's think of it that way, right? You can combine that all together. We are going to go are going a long way to releasing the extraordinary brain potential that is focused exclusively on all of these things. So I think if I'm going to sort of refine those 3 things into one, it's this underestimation about how the enormity of the Inflation Reduction Act and what that's going to mean for climate tech spending in the next 20 years.
Exactly. And it came up in every single panel because it applies to every sector of our climate space. So that it was the best deep dive I've gotten into what that's going to look like in a tangible way, and just the funding in general. When we were on the recycling panel and robotics, got funded 91 million. You're like, well, according to the IRA, that's more about 180 million. So
right. So yeah. So investment tax, investment tax credit, 30%. So that's an automatic additional 30% on top of everything you spend in real dollars, right? The production tax credit can be 20% in some cases. If you make batteries, you get $35 a kilowatt hour you produce. For the Tesla Gigafactory, it's billions of dollars. It's crazy. And the Europeans are going to respond because capital will leave Europe to come here. If it's half the cost to build a gigafactory in the United States versus Europe, or let's word it, if I can build 2 gigafactories in the United States for the price of 1 in Europe, guess where I'm going, right? And guess where guess where the brain drain is going and all this sort of stuff. And Europe's only response is to counter with their own incentives. So US is using a carrot and incentive approach. Europe is using sticks and punitive approaches. The punitive approaches, the stick isn't going to cut it, right? You've got to incentivize entrepreneurs and companies to invest. And that's exactly what you have here.
Yeah. And this time next year, we'll be able to kind of reflect on how that did change according to our projections for what that looks like.
Yeah, everyone doesn't know this, but Kenna and I are going to shut down Climate Transform soon, and we're going to become vertical farmers. We're going to be making 15 different types of basil in a zero carbon modular vertical farming unit that we're going to buy from David Farquhar in Scotland.
In the perfect weather, we put it up anywhere. It's
ultraviolet lights versus white lights. I mean, by the way, guys, look up International Growing Systems. St Andrews in Scotland, they've just raised a bunch of money in a Series B round. This technology is, pardon my language, is fucking amazing. Just amazing.
Exactly. Well, so I know we just finished that big event, but next week we do have some more daily events before we go a little more quiet for the holidays. So on Monday, Carolyn will be interviewing Venna Lapel, the CCO of Novo Carbo, and they are a green tech company converting all these carbon removal solutions into sustainable products such as, feedstock additives or building materials. So it's a unique approach to using that material after the fact. And then on Tuesday, we'll be interviewing Next Energy Technologies, and they are really scaling their commercial windows into solar panels for all of US. And so we'll see what that looks like, what the cost benefits are of that, and if there's what obstacles currently exist. And then on the 15th, we'll be interviewing Zwitterco, which I'm really excited for. Alex, the CEO and co-founder of Zwitterco, will be talking about their wastewater reuse system, and they work with the world's most gross, toughest contaminated water and just completely treating it to be used again and looking at the resource recapturing of that. So we don't do as much water on our channel, but this is really a hard hitter. So we'll definitely tune into those next week. Paul, any last words before?
No, I'm not speaking till the end. I'm not speaking till 2023. So everyone.
Okay, that's it for Paul. But bye, everyone, and we'll get everything up on our website ASAP. So stay tuned.
All right, bye, everyone.
See ya.